The Song of Sion. Here you see Mary Magdalene in her chapel in Rennes-le-Château. Samuel told King Saul, "You shall meet a band of angels," actually prophets, maybe they were angels, "a band of prophets coming from a high place with harp, drum, flute, and lyre, and they will be prophesying." These prophets, after the age of prophets disappeared in the Judaic tradition, the women stepped forward with their songs to become the prophets. The Bath Kol, or Bat Kol, translates directly to daughters of voice. They were the Hebrew prophets and singers, and their sound opened the gates of heaven, so that they could receive the voice of Shekinah, the voice of wisdom. As the Word became flesh in Jesus, so did the Bath Kol, daughter of the voice, become flesh in Maria Sophia. And here we see Mary Magdalene on the shores of Provence, near Saint-Baume, where she came ashore in the boat with no oars. Now it's interesting, my friend Henry Lincoln said that the ancient tradition of coming ashore in a boat with no oars usually indicated it was someone of a royal bloodline descent. This image is from the wonderful chapel at Saint-Baume. Wearing nothing but her hair. Each morning, a group of angels lifted Magdalene above the summit of the cliffs, where she could listen to the entire choir of angelic hosts, the divine sounds of original and continuing creation. Temple singers used specific tones to create healing in body, mind, and soul. Sufi sound science teaches that our voice is an instrument for healing and also the barometer of our state of being. It tells us where we are in our evolution, in our state of emotional, physical, and mental. It tells a story. The quality of our voice, and it also informs others how to respond to us. If you've ever heard a recording of your voice and said, "Ooh," that voice deepens and expands through regular toning and chanting. It's how to develop it so that when you speak, people will listen. I had very powerful relationships in my past with men of great stature. They were well-respected experts in their fields. And no one ever listened to me. I would say something and it was as if I was invisible. Until I started working with sound and developing my own energies and my own voice. Musical instruments like David's harp were used by all the prophets in order to enter into an ecstatic mood before receiving the spirit of prophecy. This is from the texts of the Zohar, which are the esoteric Kabbalah aspect of Judaism. Many people say that they were composed in the 12th century in a place called Girona, where I'm going this May. We have a tour there working with a wonderful woman who has studied these traditions for a very long time. So these were traditions that were used around the world. Shamans use music to enter an altered state. We can use music drumming, chanting, whatever is our inclination, to expand our energy field, open ourselves up to greater potentiality. So, looking at this image, just to observe it a bit, and then close your eyes. Make sure you're in a relaxed position and uncross your legs. And we're going to chant together, Yod He Vov He. This is a very powerful chant in the Judaic tradition. The ancient Hebrew syllables, they're like bijas, creative seeds, to clear and develop potentiality, to create what our true vision is. So with your eyes closed, join me in this. To open your eyes and look at the image again. When you're ready, take a deep breath, a sigh on the exhale. And see if it looks different. Did anything change? Any feedback from the audience? Any change that you're aware of? Yes. More colors. Ah, you see things that you didn't see before. A heart. Uh-huh. Things. And what? The temple is bigger. It grew. The doorway seems to be more inviting. It has dimensionality. Toning and chanting benefits. These are just a few. It increases sensory perception, as you just discovered, clarity, and intuition. Toning and chanting releases limiting beliefs, stress, and dis-ease. It charges the brain and alters our brain state. inducing alpha theta states, which are associated with healing. We did experiments in the research labs at the University of Washington Medical Center and found that dowsers, shamanic healers, energy workers, and toners like me all entered the alpha, then theta, and even delta states when we were in the process of opening. It synchronizes the heart, brain, body rhythms, producing a state of centeredness, balance, and integrity. You feel a bit of that tonight, probably. And in your own practices, I'm sure many of you have. It dissolves the veils to remembering original intention. That is one of the greatest gifts that this toning and chanting and sacred music making can do. I don't want to leave out dance, but that's just not my job this lifetime. I love to dance. And often the dance goes with the song. It expands our life potential and creativity, opening a gateway for soul freedom. And what you're hearing is an Aeolian harp, wind harp, placed in the center of Stonehenge on a summer solstice. Just the natural sounds of the wind through the strings. And this is a natural occurrence that happened to my friend Eileen Nauman at Rainbow Bridge, Devil's Bridge, Sedona. The sun was nowhere close to that part of the sky. And it was after they offered prayers and flute and drum song, and this appeared, and everybody was on their knees. This appeared right in front of Madonna Rock. Here's the Madonna and Child right at the Chapel of Holy Cross. In Nicholas Mann's pentagram landscape temple of Sedona, it's the center of the pentagram. We'll learn more about pentagrams later. This occurred after I was up there chanting with my granddaughter songs to Our Lady, and days before the big tsunami in Indonesia. There's the DNA spiral going through there. And here's another image from genetics of the DNA spiral. Russian biophysicist, any Russian speakers here? Anyway, he found that human DNA can be reprogrammed with harmonious sound and positive language. This is the ancient Hermetic knowledge of the power of mantras and sound. Mantras are formulas to vibrate the highest human potential and re-enchant our world. As I was saying about the University of Washington research, here is a chart of some of the testing of what happened to the brain. This is the beginning. I guess I already had a fair amount of theta going on. I had been listening to the Songaya CDs that you'll hear later on, and then toning with them really peaked the theta level. The theta, the green, the alpha is the red, beta over here, and delta, the really deep level in the blue. Then both the alpha thetas peaked. The brain went into an altered state, and then they totally balanced. So these are some of the things that happen when you're toning and chanting. This is a energy field imaging machine that was testing in Mexico City many years ago, coming off the Avenue Insurgentes, the largest, most congested road that I know of in the world. I think it is the longest in the Americas. And it was fairly stressful, and the aura field is quite lopsided and very high beta brain state. Not high beta, just beta state. And after 1 minute of doing Om Mani Padme Hum, This was an old photo, so this is faded a bit, but these were very brilliant, deep royal blues and purples that were developed, which indicated an entry into the alpha theta state. Here's our friend Ashok Kumara chanting with a wonderful orb on the side of his head. I'm sure he didn't even know. And I'm playing for a mass for a dear friend who passed over, and I'm chanting. And my friend took this, and then there are various other little orbs around. It's a church in Rennes-les-Bains, France. What in the world is the song of the resonant green snake? Do you know the Goethe story about the green snake? He wrote about this. We're going to learn a little bit about the green snake. This is St. John, Lazarus, in the Saint-Lazare Church in a place called Avallon, France. Here we see, in principio erat verbum, in the beginning was the Word. We see this lovely serpent coming out of his cup. Here he is again in a Catholic church in Massachusetts, Westford. Now it's a green snake. This is a well-known alchemical symbol of resurrection and renewal, coming awake, and it's in his cup, the Grail cup. Here's in Troyes Cathedral, southeast of Paris, another green snake, but this time it's a feathered serpent, just like Quetzalcoatl in the Mesoamerican tradition. We find the same symbology all over the world, rooted in the earth and sprouting wings, balanced. Transformation, resurrection. Here we see it in the image from Egypt. The serpent shape can be symbolic of energy movement, water, wisdom, kundalini rising, sound waves, resurrection, and it happens to be the symbol for the age of Aquarius. Two squiggly lines, just like two snakes. That's the age we're entering into. So I think it's high time we retrieved the snake. Here's the front of the same Saint-Lazare church in France, Avallon, France. Look at all these amazing serpents on the front. It's a resurrection chapel. By the way, the nearby next village is Vézelay, where Mary Magdalene has her church, basilica. They were brother and sister, and they worked together closely in the resurrection mysteries. This window is in the Madeleine Church in Rennes-le-Château, and the sun was over in the west, which is behind my head when I took the shot. This was a miracle of Lazarus rising, I felt, out of his window. That's Lazarus Rising's window. Lazarus received the resurrection mysteries teaching from Yeshua as recorded in the secret Gospel of Mark. It was an all-night ceremony. And here's a quote from the Pistis Sophia in the words of Yeshua. Magdalene and John, the Virgin, will tower over all my disciples and all men who shall receive the mysteries. Well, we've moved on now. It's available for all of us. That's the good news. Here's a performance with an altar to St. John as the eagle of the four apostles. That's my friend Francoise and myself. Troyes Cathedral was the place where the Grail mysteries were written. Troyes was the center of Knights Templar. It's where Joan of Arc rode her horse onto the high altar and proclaimed for the people's liberation of France. She rode her horse up onto the high altar. She had some energy, that girl. We all love her. Here's the Apostle of the Apostles in Saint-Michel, Tarascon-sur-Ariège, near the Pyrenees, the foothills. From the Pistis Sophia Codex, it says, I have had faith in the light, and it remembered me and heard my song. He has placed in my mouth a new song. Sing praises to the light, and I will bring you to the region from which you descended. That's the work of Sophia, to retrieve souls. Sophia simply means wisdom, chokmah, wisdom. Pistis is faith. She had faith in the wisdom. Some wonderful winged Isis, pregnant with the bridal knot at her belly. This is a chateau near where I live in France part-time, where we do different events. It was also an observatory for the heavenly cycles in the medieval era. There are 14 of these gorgeous girls with serpent bodies. This is a billboard on the way to my village in a place called Limoux. It's famous for its original formula of champagne. The Grail cup is filled with golden elixir, the serpent green and winding and entwining as the vine, the temple behind. And here is a wonderful alchemical image from the 5th century. The alchemy of the 9 musical spheres of creation and the 9 muses. The serpent flows freely and easily through the spheres as the life force and divine song of creation. We have the jed pillar of Osiris, and kind of similar in the U.S. genetics image. We find these images everywhere. Sound, breath, and meditation is the key to awakening the internal serpentine pillar of light. This is the Taoist circuit, the circulation of the breath, which I highly recommend. Circulating the breath up and down. And if you put the tongue at the roof of the mouth, as you're doing this in your meditation, it helps the circulating of that inner serpentine flow wave of energy. Awakening the inner cauldrons of fire. They also call it the opening of the golden flower. This is a cymatics image, whereby a pure tone was emanated and it created a perfect mandala. It's called cymatics, sound, moving form. That's what you do when you're chanting or toning. The focus and breath follow the naughty serpent paths to awaken the inner cauldrons. Now, if you do this at sunrise and sunset, one can look right at the sun for that short period of time. Some people do it for minutes, some people do it for an hour, but there's a little window right as the sun is on the horizon that is better than a double cappuccino, I guarantee. I highly recommend it if you want your frequency to match the solar emanations that are going on now. So we're going to cover, I hope you don't leave when we take a break shortly, because I want to cover some of the effects of those solar radiations that are coming in now. So powerful, it's really good to align. We've been taught to be afraid of the sun, and it's going to, ruin us, but it's actually a source of great energy. The Nassenes, which were the ones related to Yeshua and his tribe, and the Essenes as well, combine chanting with sun gazing. This activates the nadi channels, as well as the pineal gland and the mana of awakening and regeneration in the brain centers. When you circulate the breath and the energy, you touch all the centers, which is important. Here the initiates in Egypt are receiving the illumination and resonance from the stars. This is an ancient tradition. The Mayans do it. Here are the life-giving principles with the ankhs coming down from the ray, sun. Sunlight helps produce neurochemicals, including HGH, human growth hormone, in the pineal gland, regulating mood, consciousness, energy levels, and longevity. The pineal gland generates a magnetic field and contains magnetite, thus interacting with magnetic fields of the sun and earth, for instance, places that are very magnetic, like Sedona. Places of red earth are always sacred places. Here are the 7 serpents, representing the 7 awakened centers of the initiate. Horus, the sun, at the pituitary and pineal centers, symbolizing the sun awakened within the brain. And here's a wonderful quote from the Dialogues of Kabir from the Sufi tradition. In the center between the 2 eyes is the seat of eternal music, the music of the spheres. And if we had more time, I would share many, many stories of how awakening this center, you begin to hear, many of you may do this already, hear the subtle sound currents, the music of the spheres, the sounds ringing in the air stronger at certain points, certain places. When I first went to Chartres Cathedral, I couldn't believe the symphony that was ringing like thousands of bells in the air, like millions of swallows ringing and singing through the air. And we come to a completion of the first part of the great work. We began with the green snake, initiating new beginnings, and we complete with the red, the full circuit, the inner circuitry connected. What we're hearing on the recording is a meditation on the tone G sharp. Now, in my system that I work with, that has been handed down for quite a long time, that tone resonates with the galactic center. The Mayans call the center of our galaxy Hunab-Ku, and Humboldt's men explained it to me that it's shaped like a G. It's a spiral. It's the G letter, Che, in Mayan. So this tone you're hearing now is a G sharp, which could resonate with the galactic center and connect us with that expansion. Song of the Stars. Again, we have the sky and its stars are singing in you. From the Dendera Egypt temple. In fact, all of creation hums in audible and inaudible tones. The word universe means one song. These universal tones are constantly bathing and communicating with us, as above, so below. The wonderful Algonquin song, I don't know the melody they use, but the words are so incredible. We are the stars which sing. We sing with your light. We are the birds of fire. We fly across the heavens, and our light is a star which sings. Literally so. The minerals in our bones and the iron in our blood began as an exploding star somewhere in space some time ago, long time ago. We are literally the stars which sing. There's a star map on the wall of Egypt. Marsilio Ficino, who created Neoplatonic academies during the Renaissance in Florence, Italy, wrote 3 books on life. He says, by their harmonious rays and motions, penetrating everything, planets daily influence our spirit secretly, just as music does openly. Nicholas Mann has created this wonderful star alignment with midwinter sunrise at the Glastonbury Tor in England, and the mound touching it, the center of the galaxy, touching us, touching all of us at this time, during this time of alignment. Nicholas has a whole period of 1980 to 2016, and I think if we're focusing too heavily on this one year, we're missing the point. We are in it, and it's going to keep going. That flowering. Huge solar mass ejection that occurred on 11/11/11. Now, I have to admit, I was skeptical. I thought, they're just creating the 888 again, or the 11/11/11, 10/10/10. Oh, this isn't really holy day. It's not a turning point of the seasons. But guess what happened? The sun listened. The sun responded. So as people gathered around the earth, and they were praying and singing and chanting, the largest wall of plasma that solar astronomers have ever seen erupted. Also at that same time, a gigantic magnetic rift appeared in the sun. It's really speaking now. And when we entered the year of the water dragon, 23rd and 24th of January, what do we get? A huge green dragon over water. The sun exploded, connected with that new moon. By the way, that conjunction, sun and moon, was in the sign of Aquarius, signaling that jet engine boost into the current age and the shift. Astrophysicists are studying the song of the sun in a project they call GONG, Global Oscillation Network Group. Astrophysicists from all over the world are measuring the song of the sun to see how it is affecting life on Earth, and certainly we are seeing that it is. Shortly after 11/11/11, November 15th, the sun hit, the coronal mass ejection hit Venus, and this hurling plasma cloud reduced some of Venus's atmosphere. Now, there is a Hopi prophecy that speaks about when Venus's atmosphere changes, this signals we are in the time of great change and purification. And instead of being afraid of that, celebrate. Are some of you just feeling so much energy you just want to jump out of your skin? I am. There's so much potential right now. This is a disk of Venus pouring forth illumination, just like the Egyptian initiates were receiving, the direct resonance and illumination from the stars. The Aztec tradition says that Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent, emanates from Venus and will return to Earth in 2012. In a rare transit, Venus will pass directly in front of the Sun on June 6th this year. Only happens once in a lifetime, once every 120 years or so. Now, they come in pairs, so we had one transit in 2004, and this is the partner of that transit. For me, this is really the exciting thing. I mean, yes, winter solstice, all the solstices are powerful, but this is big. So I recommend everybody toning and chanting and praying every day, connecting with the sun, bringing the sunlight into your cells, into your centers of your brain to get ready, because it's really wonderful what is happening now. Here's a Venus-Moon conjunction. She makes a perfect pentagram, the only planet in our solar system to make a perfect geometrical shape. Perfect pentagram in her orbit every 8 years. This shape happens to be the one that is full, totally, exclusively, of golden mean ratio, the perfection of creation. It's the basis of music, harmony, beauty, healing, and regeneration. So those are some of the qualities that I believe are coming in now very powerfully as blessings, as gifts, if we pay attention and utilize them. You can even breathe in not only the sun, but the moon, or Venus, or Sirius, or whatever your favorite star is, to receive the knowledge. If you've ever worked with Venus or Sirius, I find them very, very powerful, in addition to the sun. You can receive knowledge, you can receive a song, a resonance transmission. This shows how far back from the 16th, this is a copy, a 7th century copy, but back to 1600s BC, the Mesopotamian Babylonian traditions were recording the transits of Venus in these stones. This is from the British Library. And here's the symbol of Venus throughout Mesoamerica, with Venus right here. This is right at South Mountain, Phoenix. These are called the Akar lions of yesterday and today, and as we stand at the threshold of a new age and the ending of a 26,000-year cycle, this is the time to create what we want, our visions for the future. It's a new day in the history of humanity. And in the ancient traditions of the Middle East, God was expressed in several various ways as El or La, meaning the one or I am that I am. In Hebrew, Eloha, Elohim is plural, Eloha is singular, Elat in the Old Canaanite, Allah or Allahu, Arabic, Allah, Aramaic. So I'd like us to join together with another chant, and this time with the crystal ball, and all of our voices harmonizing as you feel. And I want you to choose any of those words, the Eloha, Elohim, Elat, Allah, Allahu, Allaha, as you will. Feel it. Create your own way of doing it. But try to listen to the other voices And let's create a beautiful gift for the earth together. So I'm going to start it, and then I want you all to join in.